Poppy, is your tablet got the recording app on it?
Actually, I have a really beat up old one from my sister, so I'm gonna use that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Let me see. Here it is. Okay. So, if you don't mind, we're actually gonna go ahead and set up this fun recording, for the interview, so we can have it on file for our other command members and supervisors to look at. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so firstly, welcome. We've already done our introductions. But
yes.
we do have the lovely Chase here.
Hello.
Hi, Chase.
Let me get my interview questions. I think I stashed them in here. Okay. Alright, okay. Firstly, take a deep breath. Okay? No need to be nervous.
Okay.
We're gonna start off with something nice and easy. So go ahead and tell us about yourself.
I am Anita. I like to spend time outdoors with my sister. We grew up basically spending a lot of time outside, and that's where I want to be. I like to be close to nature. I learned how to do some boating when I was younger with my mom. And I like water. I like drinking water. It's good to stay hydrated.
Yeah, that's very good.
And I like to go camping near water because then we can go on the boat and do little fishing trips.
Mm.
And I used to volunteer as a park host at state parks, and I got to greet people and teach them about the park that they were at. It was really fun getting to see different people and teaching them because I want them to also love nature. And sometimes that's one of the only times they'll really learn about the place that they're visiting is with people there who can actually tell them.
They're so cute. That's very awesome.
Is there anything else you would like to know about me?
Well, let's see. Do you have experience at other parks? Have you gone to any of the parks here on the island? And do you have a favorite if you have?
I like any parks that's next to water. The Alamo Sea is a nice place, nice big place, where you can rent boats and go boating. But I also like to be near the lighthouse because it's a reminder that you're by the water and that boats can go by and they get directions or they can know where they're heading when they see the lighthouse. And I find it very calming over there. But when I want to be a little more adventurous in like a scary way, I like to go up to Mount Chiliad because it's high up and it's really breathtaking. And if you're afraid of heights, it's literally breathtaking.
Real. Ah. Well, oh gosh, I can't talk today. It's fine. So, we have a couple of divisions within our department. We have a lot of people that just sort of do it all, but the divisions themselves, we have the Education and Community Outreach Division, which do a lot of the things that you have been talking about, kind of teaching people about the parks, doing classes and hikes and tours and whatnot, and all the fun events. And then we have our Coast Guard, which also touches on some of the things you like with being out on the boats and kind of maintaining our coastline and just making sure everyone's safe out there, as well as helping with rescues on both mountains and out in the ocean and on the islands. And we do have our PAW division, the Pets and Wildlife, and they do animal rescues and rehabilitation, and we assist with adoptions around the island and whatnot. So it sounds to me like you've done a little bit of everything, but do you think any of those would be a favorite more than any of the others?
I think the educating one would be the top one, and then very close behind would be the one with animals.
Those are very good
And-
choices.
Yeah. And of course, I would be happy to help with rescuing. I like to drive boats, and I can do. I would say I am a decent boat driver. But my sister Alita is a well. She learned how to fly planes with our dad. So if we were together, I think it would be a great duel when it comes to rescues because you get both water and air.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, I would be happy to work with animals too and help people learn about animals and figure out what type of animals would be best for them if they're looking for adoption and how I can best help them and make sure that their animals have a good home.
Yeah. Awesome. Alright. Can you describe a time when you successfully examined an injured person and administered, first aid?
Yeah. I'm gonna take an example from when I was a park host. Most of the time, for when I was there, it was mostly closer to the visitor center and less um, farther up along the trails, just so that we are easier to find. But we do roam out when it's slower. But a lot of the injuries that I came across were closer to the welcome center, so they weren't as severe as other ones may be. If someone fell on the trail, those would be definitely a bigger. I would say out of my range as a park host, because they wanted us to stay closer to the educating areas, but we've had children run around, of course, and getting really excited about exploring the area and learning about new things. And there's obviously going to be some injuries with tripping or running into a tree branch or even bee stings. So with that, I would always. I think my best example would be with kids. I always make sure that I'm able to try to calm them down enough to be able to communicate with them because it can be difficult to understand if they're crying, and that goes the same for adults too. If they are having a hard time communicating, it would be best to calm them down to at least be able to understand a little bit, even if it's just for them to be able to hear me ask some questions about what hurts, where it hurts, and to examine their injuries to see whether or not there's any bleeding. If it's a large open wound, if it's something minor, that could be a small bandage or even an ice pack. But if it's Sorry, can you repeat the question? I feel like I'm going off.
Well, I had just asked about a time you administered medical aid, but I think you did pretty well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would just make sure that to figure out what they need, and then either if it's myself, I would try to if they're injured and they can't walk, and it's just myself, depending on the situation, I would go and radio for if there's any rangers or anyone around that could go and grab some first aid supply. But if not, I would try to bring the person back so I can get them first aid supplies, maybe help them wash off any dirt. And if it's something that's much large, like a bigger injury, I would definitely call for 911 and get um, some better trained medical professionals to help out.
Listen. All right. Let's see here. Um, what steps would you take if called upon to conduct a search and rescue mission?
How much information would I have on a search and rescue information?
So let's say someone called 911 from the top of Chiliad. They haven't seen their friend who is going down one side of it. They don't really know what direction they are. You just know they're on top of Chiliad. And that's about the extent that you have.
Okay. I would try to get a team with me to go, because more people helping could mean a faster rescue, just in case. I mean, obviously, it is going to be urgent to try and find someone that is missing, because you never know what the conditions are. I know Chiliad can be a bit dangerous on foot with murder kitties, and also the slope can be a slippery slope, and you never know where you're gonna land. So I would hope that I could get vehicles to good off-roading vehicles to drive and search for the individual, as well as, if possible, maybe a helicopter, just for the bird's eye view in case we see any movement somewhere. It would help with that. But I would definitely be prepared when searching to make sure that we are staying safe during the search, because if we get hurt, that would make the rescue take longer, and we don't want to make it more complicated by everyone getting injured and then no one's able to actually do the rescue. So I think it's important that we are first able to protect ourselves and make sure that we can do our job, and that we're able to go out and survey the area, make sure if there's any bikes or other vehicles that they might have gone on, that we look for something bigger as a clue that they could be in a certain area. I would also ask the person that called to see if they can give a description of the individual. So if they are wearing light up shoes, we can try to look out for that. If they're wearing bright colors, maybe something orange, we'll keep an eye out for that, because it could any visual cues could help us in that search. What was was there other part of that question?
No, you covered it.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Which steps would you take if a park visitor reported seeing an animal in distress?
I would check on the animal, but I know that when an animal's in distress, you should not approach them in a way that'll scare them. It is best to take it slow and not be seen as a threat, because it could end up making the situation worse. They may attack you, they may run away and make it impossible for you to help them. And I would try to examine what kind of situation they might be experiencing from a distance. If there's any, if they're stuck in a fence, then I would know, okay, this is maybe a tool I could bring with me and have so that I could help them get out. Where's the best spot to stand while helping them so that I'm not easily in a spot that they can easily just whack their arm or bite me.
Gosh.
I know with the little crabs, not really the animal you're gonna encounter that would be in distress like that. But with little crabs, you gotta watch where you're holding them so they don't pinch you. So it's the same thing with animals that you see out in the wilderness that may be in distress, is to make sure that you are staying safe when you're approaching them so that you don't get hurt and that you are able to make the best decision that you possibly can. Especially if you get hurt, it could really affect your decision making. I would hope that I'm not alone and that I can call for backup from others who may know more information about animals. I know that I've said that I am interested in working with animals and helping with adoption, but I know that there's always more that I can learn. So if I'm able to have others who are more knowledgeable about this with me, then I can watch what they do and learn from them, and see what are the best steps. I believe that if an animal is in a really bad situation and that there's no way to help them, or bring them to like a vet to rehabilitate them so that they can return to the wild
Can't believe
safely.
To cook my own wings.
It's unfortunate, but sometimes you have to do what's best for them, and that's ending their pain. But I would definitely make sure that I am evaluating all the options, to make sure that that would be last resort. Because I don't want to hurt an animal or end their life if it doesn't need to be. If there's hope for them that they can heal and be better and return to their family, I want to make sure that they're able to do that. So yeah, I think that was a lot of words, but definitely evaluate the situation before approaching. Make sure that I approach an animal in distress in a safe way that does not further stress them out or put me in danger, and then call for appropriate help. Yeah.
Oh. Uh, thank you. I think Liz would have loved that answer. What is probable cause and what is reasonable suspicion? It's okay if you don't know them.
Is probable cause, it's like, isn't that the one where it's like an assumption, or that you can it's not true. It's not proven, whereas reasonable suspicion has evidence to back it up. I could be confused.
I forgot.
But those are my guesses.
I think they're flipped around. Right, Chase?
Wait.
Yeah.
I forget.
Oh.
I forget
Yeah,
constantly myself. So.
You had them right. It's just they're flipped around.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the first one? The second was probable.
Probable cause and reasonable suspicion.
Reasonable suspicion is with evidence. Probable cause is an assumption. right?
Yes.
It's
Right?
Okay.
I lost track of everything right then. Are you comfortable or interested in running education classes or events?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Let's see. Da 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 da. How do you see a day in the life of a ranger going?
Well, that depends on what kind of role I would be in, like if I'm doing education, but I think that if I go the education route, I feel like I would be um more at the Sunshine Welcome Center over there because it's I feel like it's a better space for educating. So I feel like I would station myself up there rather than here. But I also know that if people want licenses, um, it it would be good to be able to go back and forth between locations. But I see myself being there to greet people coming in and answer any questions that they're asking or that they have, and that I can go into the parks to make sure that everything is looking normal, that there's nothing suspicious, and that if there are any hunters or fishers out there, that they're following the rules and not doing anything that would endanger them or the animals that they aren't supposed to be hunting or fishing. Um, I would also want to take the time to visit different trails to make sure that if there's anything that needs maintenance work on, that I can make a note of that and see if I'm able to get that sorted myself or call the appropriate people to help with that. And with my boating experience, I would like to be able to go out on a boat every once in a while because people go boating to go fishing, um, but also with rescues, I think it it would be good to to be out in the water just in case. But I feel like I can see myself being anywhere depending on what's needed. Um, and definitely I would definitely like to be more focused on the educating side or the animal side of things. Um, and be able to help out with my sister and really just being available to the public so that they're able to reach out to a ranger when they need help or if they have any questions, and just be able to be there for them and be available even to the the parks in general. Just be there because you never know if something happens. So I want to make sure that I'm available to everything and everyone.
Ah, awesome. Good answer. Uh, um, what would you like to see the department doing that we don't already?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What would you like to see the department doing that we're not already?
I heard something about scouts,
Yeah?
but I can't really say that you aren't doing it if you're going to.
Yep, it is been a very long time in the making, but we're approaching the start, so very exciting.
Yeah, I like the idea of scouts, and that would be a probably more fun and having a greater reach um to the citizens here in terms of educating them on on our parks and just being out in the wilderness, and that includes things to know about the wilderness, but also skills that they should have that could help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I'm not quite sure what to say in terms of what I would like to see the department do that they haven't done, because I don't know what that will be.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Let's see. What do you think you could bring to the department?
I hope that I can be an approachable person to the department, as like someone who's available to help out whenever or for whatever. Uh, and that I can be an extra set of hands, but I also feel like once I learn more about how the department works, that I can come up with solutions by being creative and maybe a new perspective, because I I know a lot of people. Yeah, if they've been a ranger, I feel like they've been in that position for a while, that they might need a fresh pair of eyes and opinions, and I hope that I can be one of the fresh eyes and opinions that can help the department out. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I could also help out in terms of water rescues and any needs on the water, and just helping out with taking the load off of some other people who may uh, just need an extra pair of hands, and just yeah, I want to be there to help people in any way possible and to be available to them, even if it's just being at the station and just handing out, helping with getting citizens their licenses so that they can go out and do what they want to do. I want to be available and help.
Awesome. Awesome. I guess the only thing we have left is. This is an important question. Are you ready?
Turtles.
What? Hmm?
I don't know. Yes,
Not
I'm
quite.
ready.
What? If you were a tree, what sort of tree would you be and why?
Pine tree. Because they have pine cones, and that's a nice little tool for animals.
Throw at
They're looking for little cones to hold and love, and
Oh.
pine cones are also capable of growing into new trees.
Oh my
And
god.
I really like being able, in the spring, when you look in pine trees, you can see where the new growth is, because the pine needles are much brighter green, and they grow really tall and strong, and it's hard to see the history of a tree if you don't really know it, but when you see a pine tree in the spring, you can see how long or how much growing it has done and how much new growing it can do, because there's those bright green little needles at the tips of each branch. And it provides really good shelter because they make really large shaded areas, which is good for people and animals who need a break from the hot summer sun. And even in the snow, it's a little roof.
Oh. Wow. I think I just learned some new things about pine trees. I love it. Alright. Well, that's about covers our questions. Did you have any for us?
At this moment, I would say no. Oh, I do have a question actually. In the interview scheduling appointment thing, there's a note at the end that says to not feed the gnomes. I was wondering why.
Because, they're evil, okay?
What?
Not every time, but we've had times in the past where someone feeds a gnome, and then a deer ends up in our cells. Not because we put it there, but just because of the gnomes. So we tell people not to feed the gnomes so we don't have a deer that's in our cells.
Is this like when you play The Sims and sometimes there are gnomes that are good or bad depending on what you give them, and then they'll have magic powers to make something else happen, and then they'll teleport as well? Is it like that?
You know, that's a... that's a pretty good
It's,
description.
it's oh, okay. So if I feed the gnomes, good or bad, they have the ability to put deers in places they don't
I'll be
belong.
right back.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's just Public Works pulling a joke on us because I'm pretty sure they're the ones that kept bringing new ones all the time. But, yes, we're gonna go with that one. I like that explanation much better.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other questions at this time.
Awesome. Well, okay. Look at that. You did it. I'm gonna go ahead and hand you my number.
Alright, I'll hand you mine as well.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. So we are trying to finish all the interviews, so it will be at least, I want to say at least 2 weeks before we start sending out responses. So you still got a bit of time to wait, okay?
Okay, that just gives me more time to explore
Yeah,
and meet new people.
yeah. Awesome. Here, I'm gonna grab your sister. Let me. There you go.
Thank you.
Welcome.
How'd it go?
I think
Heck
it went
yeah.
okay. I hope I did good.
Yeah,
I bet you did amazing.
you did great.
Thank you. I bet you'll do amazing.
Let me just see if one of my other super. Hello.
Hello.
Would you like to ask the questions for this one?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know how that fancy recording device works, so you'll have to handle that.
That's okay. I got that one covered.
All right.
All right. Okay. So we're just gonna be recording this so we could share it with the other supervisors and command members so they could all make sure they see all the lovely interviews, okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Eh.
So I'll go.
Oh, I was just gonna have you introduce yourself real quick.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna do. All right. So I'm Master Ranger Chase Wise. Standing to my right is our department coordinator Poppy Hill. We'll be doing your interview today. So before we get going, do you have any questions thus far?
No, not so far.
All right. All right. So tell us about yourself.
So I spent a lot of time growing up and hiking and camping with my family. We'd go on long trips and kind of get lost in nature, and I've always enjoyed the serene quietness of just being out there away from people and getting to kind of see the animals and their natural environment. I spent a lot of time just in various state parks throughout Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, and I I just I came to San Andreas hoping with my sister hoping to kind of continue the tradition of preserving nature and educating people. I've always had a passion for sharing skills and knowledge that I picked up. I learned that from my dad. And he kind of taught me a lot of what I know, and our mom as well. And I in my free time I enjoy off-roading and just kind of being out there and helping people when I can. We I am hoping to eventually also be able to fly helicopters in the state as well. I saw that there's a I was reading about a process for that, so I gotta apply for all that. And I want to share the beauty of nature with everybody, and that's been my goal since I was real young, and all the times we spent it on our trips and everything. I was that weird kid that I would always walk up to other families and kind of tell them random facts about different parks and things, and sometimes they took well to it, sometimes they didn't. But it's at the end of the day, I've just always enjoyed it, and I'm really hoping to be a park ranger.
I gotcha. Off topic. Poppy, do you have Carmen McKenzie's phone number?
Yeah, I should. Why?
Can you text her and tell her I will call her back?
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have a favorite state park or wilderness area within the state?
Within the state of San Andreas.
Yes.
I lied.
I think my favorite would have to be I'm gonna go with Mount Chiliad because it's the tallest, and you get a really good view of everything from around. And there's of course the tram that goes up there. But I like being able to look out, and everything's so clear and peaceful up there. And then of course driving up the trails and coming back down is a lot of fun too. And then hiking up them as well.
Alrighty. So, within the Parks Department, we have a few different divisions that you are able to get involved with. So to start, Coast Guard. Coast Guard essentially specializes in um, the coast around the state. So they have boats and helicopters. They mainly just specialize in like diving and water rescues, things like that. The Eco Division, which is essentially they are going around and training people, doing education, holding classroom sessions about hunting and the state parks within the state. And then we have the Paw Division, which is pets and wildlife. Essentially, the way you can think about pets and wildlife, it's essentially a division that concentrates on pets and the safety of pets and animals within the state. So animal rescue, animal rehabilitation, things like that. So with those divisions in mind, what division do you think you would be most interested in if you were to get into the Parks Department?
Probably the Eco Division. Yeah, I'd love to be able to teach people more about nature and hunting and fishing and make sure that they're doing it right and respecting nature.
Alrighty.
And
Alright,
one
can you
top
describe a time when you successfully examined an injured person and administered first aid?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I mean, frequently working with and volunteering at various state parks. There was many occasions like that. One time, this poor kid just took a nasty tumble down a hiking trail, and he was all scraped up and covered in leaves and dirt and grass, and he was just bawling his eyes out. And I was able to get him seated comfortably, and took the time and care to kind of clean his wounds after assessing the situation, making sure he wasn't too banged up. And then we helped bandage him up and get him out of there. But He was definitely worse for wear that day. He learned his lesson not to rush down the trails. Or are you looking for more specifics on like the treatment methods?
Bobby, can you elaborate on that?
Repeat what?
She's wanting to know like if we're looking for specifics of how she treated an injured person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you could just elaborate like of how you actually treated the person.
Okay. So when I first got to him, he was first thing I did was make sure I got down on his level, and I assessed the situation by taking a look over him and seeing that he had scraped up his palms, his elbows, and his knees pretty bad. It seemed to get the most of it. So we got him seated comfortably and took out my first aid kit, and we wound up getting him to calm down a little bit. And he knew it was going to hurt, but we gently cleaned the wound on his starting with his knees, and after cleaning it with a little bit of saline solution and making sure that as much of the dirt and grime was out of there, applied a little bit of antibiotic, and from there, after bandaging up the knees, we moved to like the elbows and did the same thing, cleaned it with a little bit of saline, made sure that most of the dirt, all the dirt was out of it, made sure nothing was bleeding, and then we bandaged that up with a little bit of antibiotic as well, and then did the same thing with his palms, and then we wound up carrying him down the trail because he just wasn't feeling up for it. He was a little nervous on his feet at that point.
Alrighty. What steps would you take if called upon to conduct a search and rescue mission?
The first thing I would do would be to figure out where exactly the operation is going to be taking place, confirm what type of vehicles could make it in that area, and if there was already somebody closer nearby to get kind of eyes on the situation if possible. And then, let's see. And then getting the appropriate people involved. And if it was just me by myself, I would make sure I was communicating with whoever I needed to within either command structure, who else I was working with. And we would go to the area that the person was either last found or last known, if it was like somebody who was lost, like a lost hiker or camper or something like that. Or if somebody needed to be airlifted out of there, find somebody who's able and certified to fly like a helicopter or something like that, and get to the area. Or if it was on water, of course, bringing a boat to their location or last known location and trying to make sure we could find them while also being safe ourselves.
Alrighty. What steps would you take if a park visitor reported seeing an animal in distress?
I would confirm where the animal was, and then I would go to the area where the animal was and assess the situation like I would anybody else who was injured. But of course, animals are a little bit more delicate, and you can't really communicate well with them, and figure out whether or not this was something that was treatable or if some other steps needed to be taken with the animal. Say, if it was in a kind of distress where unfortunately it wasn't going to make it, and making that assessment based on whatever training and guidelines I had at the time.
Alrighty. What is probable cause and what is reasonable suspicion? And it's okay if you don't know these.
Yeah, that I'm not 100% on.
Alrighty. Do
I
you want to
believe
take a guess at
probable
it?
cause is more important than reasonable suspicion when it comes to actually checking something out. Probable cause is more like you know that something's going on, you can see it clearly, and reasonable suspicion means that you think something might be there, but you're not 100% sure and you don't have concrete proof.
Alrighty. Are you comfortable and or interested in running education classes or events?
Absolutely. I've run many in my time, and I'm really excited to bring people together and share that knowledge with them.
Alrighty. How do you see a day in a life of a ranger going? So, like our day-to-day operations, how do you see that going?
Well, I bet a lot of people are coming to you guys for hunting and fishing, or hunting and skipper licenses. Um, Seems like there's a lot of state park to cover. I'm not sure how many people you have working at any given time or on shift, but I see a lot of that as answering calls for people who want to get their hunting and skipper licenses, and also then patrolling the various state parks to make sure people are being safe. Keep an eye out for potentially wounded animals or wounded individuals, making sure that there's nothing blocking the trails, taking care of people, and then answering calls as needed when people are in distress or when hunters are potentially straying farther from the hunting grounds than they should be.
All right. What do you think you can bring to the department?
I have a passion for teaching people, and I'm really excited to bring that knowledge that I have and that we have to the citizens of San Andreas. I really love organizing events and making sure that people are having a good time, and I really hope to be able to share that. I also have a very analytical mind. So when it comes to figuring things out and connecting dots on different things and maybe trying to put what's going on together, I usually have a pretty good intuition about what's going on with that. And so far, it's served me well.
Alrighty. What would you like to see the department doing that we do not do already?
More events on a more regular cadence to kind of get to people to understand what the Rangers do. And it sounds like there hasn't been a lot of classes, so I'd love to get that started as well. Or get more of that going on.
Alrighty. All right. This next question, this is a big one. This is a make or break question. If you
Okay.
were a tree, what sort of tree would you be and why?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. There's so many good trees out there. I don't want to leaf one out because that'd be really bad. And the other ones would be kind of. I'd say a pine tree because they remind me of Christmas and hiking in the snow and just kind of being out. And also like the little needles and things on it. It looks really pretty from a distance, but when you get close and you try to, yeah, there's like a whole lot more to it than it really seems when you get closer. If that makes sense. When you take a closer look.
Alrighty. So that is all the questions we have for you. Do you have any questions for us?
Hmm. You mentioned, do people get hurt a lot in the parks?
Yeah. So I'd say probably 60 to 70% of the calls that you're going to respond to as a ranger are going to be medical related, with people getting hurt in the parks and the hunting grounds, whether it's with from mountain lion attacks or falling off a cliff or a mountain, things like that. So
Oh,
yes,
geez.
people do get hurt quite often. It's just
Okay.
because of the nature of where our jurisdiction is and where the hunting grounds are and the safe parks. Yeah, people do get hurt quite often.
Okay. And then as part of that, I know most of my training is like first aid and very minimal with medical. Is that something that the Rangers offer as part of their training? Is because it's something that I do want to learn how to do more of.
Yeah, so we have a medical course that that we'll put you through. It's part of your training once you initially get into the department.
That is super exciting. Okay. And then what are both of your favorite parts of being a park ranger?
Poppy, you want to go first?
Wow, God, that is such a hard one. Honestly, it's just the sense of community that I have found here. I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased because I started the department, but it's my family, and I've met so many great people through both within the Rangers and through our events, and with the people that helped us get the department started. It's just been such an amazing feeling, and whenever we do anything, and the welcome we usually get, it's just makes me really happy and emotional.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, so my favorite part of doing this job, I really enjoy doing rescues and mountain rescues. I like being able to help people when they are in need. Um, and working with EMS, doing those things makes it even better because the two departments come together and we're really good at coordinating with each other to organize these rescues that we have to do occasionally. And then, actually getting able to help people and make sure that they're okay and make sure that they're going to be doing better in the future. And then just getting to talk to people and getting to know as many people as I have. When you get into a position like this, you get to talk to a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and you get to understand what people deal with. Um, so I would say that's some of my favorite parts of it for sure.
That's incredible. Sounds like both of you have found a lot of rewarding experiences within the park department.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Trying to think of what else there might be. I mean, it's all pretty straightforward. It seems like. I'm just really excited for this opportunity, and I look forward to being able to hopefully join the ranks of park ranger and help you guys carry on with the kind of things that you like to do and make your lives easier in the process.
Heck yeah. Thank you. Let me go ahead and give you my number.
Oh yeah. There you go. There's mine as well.
Thank you.
Toss your mind too.
Thank you for taking the time to come out here today.
You as well. I think I gave you mine as well, Chase.
Yeah, I got it.
Did that? Okay.